My name is Ryan, and I'm in recovery from cocaine addiction. I thought I would share another little DJ story from my time in the music industry. I was working for a nightclub in London that was about 500 capacity, and we were contacted by a big drinks brand that do a lot of like music activations. They had a really big name DJ that they wanted to kind of book for like what's called like an underplay, where a DJ that's really big, worth like thousands of tickets, plays like a really small show, and it's like a ballot competition sign-up type thing to win tickets, and it's a good kind of brand marketing exercise for the drink brand. We decided to do it. The DJ it's a really big name DJ. He's got residency in Ibiza. It's kind of like tech house, a bit more cheesy and commercial than we would normally do, but we're not going to turn down the opportunity to have a huge name like that that's paid for by the drinks brand. We didn't have to pay for the fees. The only thing we had to cover was like flight. In fact, I think actually maybe we didn't even need to cover the flight. We had to kind of organise it all, but the drinks brand paid for it. We had to sort out the ground transport, from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the club, and all that kind of stuff. The agent was really specific about the car that they wanted to transport them from the airport. I can't remember the exact thing, but they wanted to say like a Mercedes S-Class with black leather interior, blacked out windows, blah, blah, blah. So I had to go and kind of sort that out. Obviously booked them in like 5-star hotel, all the works. And then it would come down to discussing the tech rider, which is basically their equipment requirements. How many CDJs they need, how many 1210 vinyl decks do they need, what mixer do they use, all that kind of stuff. But they normally send over like a tech rider document, and then you make sure you can provide all the equipment. But on the tech rider, they asked that the DJ booth was this certain height, which was like 2 inches higher than standard and also 2 inches higher than our DJ booth. So I just replied and was like, yeah, we can provide all the equipment that's mentioned, but the one thing to mention is our DJ booth's a bit shorter than you've mentioned that you need. So what we can do is we're just going to bring in a little riser to make it higher. And they were like, no, it can't be a riser, it has to be concrete. So I was like, okay, fine, we'll arrange some concrete slabs instead. And then he replied again and was like, no, the whole DJ booth needs to be one solid concrete thing. It can't be a riser and it can't be a concrete slab. I was like, what difference does that make? It seems so like unnecessary to put that on us. Because we weren't paying any of the fees and we were going to make good money on the show, we decided that we would just go along with what they were asking, even if it did seem like a bit of an OTT diva request. We had to arrange for like a cement mixer to come in and builders and to like rebuild the DJ booth to the height they required. He explained as well that because the DJ plays vinyl and he's got a lot of old records, he really wants it to, when you play with vinyl, there's dangers of like, if you're playing on like an unsteady surface or not a concrete surface, it can feed back, you can't ground the deck properly. I was like, okay, fine. So we sorted it. Everything else was fairly standard, sorting out the hotel and everything. On the day of the show, I get a call from the I think it was his manager, and he was like, the car's just arrived at the airport to pick us up, and it's white leather interior. I told you we want black leather interior. We can't get in this car. And I was like, what difference does it make? It's a Mercedes S-Class as you asked for, and the leather interior is a different colour. Like, anyway, they refused to get in the car, so I had to phone around to try and find a Mercedes S-Class with black leather interior. Couldn't obviously find one at that late notice. The blacked out windows, blah blah blah. And in the end, managed to kind of convince them against their will to get in the one that I provided, and they did, and they went to the hotel. There was loads of buzz around the show, like obviously as you'd expect for the big underplay like that. It sold out really quickly. There were people queuing up outside before the doors opened. The DJ's kind of tech guy came and did the sound check and set everything up, and he turned up. I was expecting him to obviously turn up with bags of records, thinking, after he told me that he was playing vinyl and blah blah blah, and he didn't. It turns out he was playing on Traktor vinyl, but on Traktor. If you're not a DJ or aware of this sort of stuff, it probably doesn't mean anything to you. But basically, there's playing records, which is buying a vinyl, putting it on the deck and playing it. But then there's Traktor vinyl where you have a laptop, and then you run some leads through the back of the decks, and you basically you have like a visual cue that shows you the waveform of the record and the BPM and all that kind of stuff. It's like playing electronically, basically. It's not really real vinyl. Anyway, the tech guy literally set everything up to the point where he had the first song queued up at the first beat, everything, so the DJ could just come into the booth, press play. it was a very different vibe to what I was used to, because the DJ's like this kind of big, kind of famous name. All the fans that turn up for the show were wearing like hats with his name on it, t-shirts with his name on it, all like shouting and screaming his name, all coming up to the DJ booth for photos. It didn't really feel like a rave, it felt more like a kind of meet and greet. And he was literally just kind of jumping on, playing a few tunes, and then his tech guy would come and like play some. And he was like going into the crowd to take photos and have drinks at the bar with people. He was then going into the green room to kind of get on it. It was barely really DJing. It just felt very like plastic, but it was a good vibe. The music was good. Yeah, like I say, I felt a bit kind of sanitised, but all in all, it was good. He was happy with the new DJ booth we built, especially for him. Didn't even really mention it. But the funny thing was as well that when the show finished and he'd finished kind of getting photos and kind of interacting with his fans, we were kind of getting ready to leave, and I was just chatting to him, and he was like, people don't realise that I'm like one of the OGs in the game. I'm one of the only people in Ibiza that still plays vinyl, still staying true to the craft. I didn't really have the heart to tell him that Traktor vinyl doesn't really count as real vinyl.